Welcome to today's Yin practice. So today is the turn of the second chakra, which is the Sacral Chakra, called Swadhistana. And Swadhistana means self-dwelling place, and it is our abode. So it is where we live, how we embody our essence, and we will be focusing primarily in the area of the hips, the sacrum, and also the womb, the ovaries, and for men, the testes. So all of the area that has to do with our reproductive organs. And we will begin with a breathing technique, which is a perfect way to bring more flow of energy to these areas. So we will begin by sending the hands to prayer. Begin to send the spine into a more upright position, making sure that you're comfortable in your seat. If you're not, please grab a prop and place it underneath the sitting bones so that the hips can be higher than the knees. We inhale at the heart. Exhale, create an upside down triangle as you slide the hands to the lower abdomen. Take a big inhale here. Now join thumbs and little fingers to make a lotus as you exhale and the arms rise. Inhale the heart. Exhale, drawing the energy down, lower abdomen. Inhale here. Let your belly expand. Exhale, bring the palms into lotus. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lower abdomen. Exhale, lotus. We keep it going. Inhale the heart. Exhale, lower. Inhale here. Exhale, lotus. Inhale. Exhale. Guiding the energy down. Inhale here. Exhale, lotus. Inhale, center, chest. Exhale. Inhale. Lotus, exhale. Inhale. Directing your attention downwards so your energy flows there. Inhale. Exhale, lift. Inhale. Exhale again, lower. Inhale, Ujjayi sound breath. Exhale, lotus. Oceanic sound breath on the inhale, the heart. And exhale, take it down. Make your breath audible. Inhale. Exhale, lotus. Inhale, heart. Exhale, hands down. Inhale at the navel. Exhale, lotus, transformation, growth, alchemy. Inhale, heart. Lowering it down, exhale. Placing intention and attention in the navel. Exhale, lotus. Healing, moving through the body. Inhale. Exhale. Circulation, blood downwards. Inhale. Health in the lotus. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Breath's getting longer. Inhale. Lotus, exhale. Inhale, heart. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale, rise. Inhale. Exhale. Keep it going. Inhale. Inhale hard. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, lotus. Keep it going. Inhale. Now, no guidance, just a breath. Exploring your abode as you move and as you breathe. Getting to know your dwellings. Inhale. Inhale. Pause here. Inhale, center. You can release the hands to the knees or to the thighs. Pause to feel. Aware of all the parts in your body that feel enlivened, awakened perhaps. From here, I will slowly begin to open your eyes. We will begin with a few rounds of cat and cow, which is not something we normally do in Yin, but today we will. So I'm crossing the legs, sending the knees towards each other, and then letting your knees be right underneath the hips while your wrists are underneath the shoulders. You can have the toes tucked or untucked. And as you inhale, begin to create a sense of expansion in the whole front of the body. So the sitting bones lift, the lower ribs can sag down, the chest moves forward, the throat forward, the chin up. And as you exhale, begin to invite the tailbone in, expand through the lower back, the middle back, the upper back. And finally, begin to press the neck back as your chin moves down. And now find a little bit of free movement here as you expand through the chest. This can be with any breath. As you exhale, begin to create a rounded spine, pressing the floor away from you as you push your hands down. And you can always begin from the area of the pelvis and initiate the movement from there. But if you want to do it in a different way and start from the head, you are super welcome to do so. So if you're gazing down and you're rounding through the spine, you can continue to gaze towards the tummy as you unravel the sitting bones, lower back, and begin to expand through the whole chest. Keep the chin up as your tailbone moves in, expanding through the whole of the lower back, middle back, upper back. And now, just for a moment, begin to create circles. So imagine that you're inside a barrel. One of my friends calls this snaky cat. So eventually or essentially you move in ways that are non-descriptive, and you can find a little bit more fluidity, so moving as a current would or as a river would, leaning to the sides, forward, back, wherever you direct the current of your pelvis and spine. Maybe you get a few clicks. And then slowly begin to pause. Here, if your hands are tired, you can shift back for a moment while I explain the next posture. We will do a posture called dragon, and this is a posture that can really allow you to experience the contents of your mind, because the posture in itself is not easy, especially when we are holding for longer periods of time. So in this posture, you can begin to slide the hands forward and step one foot forward, any foot. So here you might find support with a cushion or a bolster underneath the back thigh, underneath the pelvis, underneath the torso, wherever it works. You can even place your hands on a bolster if you have, or blocks. And in Yin, the postures don't need to look in any particular way. We will be here for 4 minutes, but I will let you know when we're halfway through, and then you can either choose to shift a certain position of your legs or your arms, to choose whether you would like to go deeper or back up. And if you would like to bring the elbows down to a block or somewhere else, you can do so too. So the front foot can be slightly angled out. For some people that feels like a best option, but for some it won't. So feel free to explore. So this chakra relates to all of those things that bring sweetness, pleasure, enjoyment to our lives. But it's also connected to all of those things that we find unpleasant, or those things that we reject. All of our aversions. And our yoga practice can serve as a means to awakening through the realizations that we get of the mind at play. So use this time to be the witness of anything that might arise in your experience. Most importantly in this practice is that you are rest assured that you are the captain of your ship. So you are halfway there. You could choose to stay where you are, or you could choose to rotate your torso towards the side of the leg that is at the front. And you might choose to stay on the outer edge of your front foot. Some of you might want to reach towards the back foot and hold it. And you might even go there and try and then realize that is too much, and then you can come out, and that is perfect. You don't want anything in your body that becomes too tense. As that creates an obstacle in the flow of chi. And a good indication for that would be your breath. Observe your relationship to enhance sensations. In any way that feels natural for you, begin to come out of posture. You can send the hands underneath the shoulders to find a more upright position in the spine, and then you can either shift the knee back. Welcome to take child's pose or lay on your tummy, or I like to find downward facing dog sometimes after these. And even though down dog is more yang, we can do it in a yin way. A passive, soft approach to the posture. Slowly start to send the knees down. And then we can shift leg. What am I drawn to do when I reach an edge? What are my strategies for dealing with discomfort? How can I find contentment and enjoyment amidst discomfort, change, impermanence? We're halfway through. If you move towards a twisted variation, you can do so now. The boat can represent both your mind and your body. Your higher self, your consciousness, will represent the captain. So the captain has a purpose and a meaning to where he goes, to what he does. How the boat without the captain gets thrown by the currents. It can get affected by different tides. So the captain of the ship is your awareness and consciousness. And the more that you connect to this, the more that we give the boat, the ship, guidance and direction. You slowly begin to release. Hands go down. any movement, any position. For the next posture, you might need to be sideways on your mat so that your knees, both knees, are on the mat, as it can be a bit too hard on an uncushioned surface. So the name of the posture is frog, and if you have any injury on the insides of the knees, I would recommend doing child's pose instead, with the either knees together or knees wide apart, maybe a bolster underneath your torso, or blanket underneath the feet, or underneath the sitting bones. So you can begin by laying down on your front, and then you can begin to separate the knees wide. So making sure that the knees are on either a blanket or cushioned part, and the soles of the feet can be together. If you have been seated for a long time, there are two nice things that you could do for your spine. One is to have the elbows underneath your shoulders or so. They can go a little wider, they can go further forward. The feet can rest by the sides, or the soles of the feet can be together. We are not trying to push or force. So the other option that you could do would be, this is nice for the cervical spine and deep neck flexors, as we tend to send the head forward when we are using our phones. So here we are trying to eradicate that or shift it. In Buddhist teachings, life can be perceived as two waves. One wave is a wave of experience, in which there is suffering, such as calamities that can happen and are beyond our control. It can be a fire, tsunami, tornadoes. It can be anything that is way beyond our control. So the first wave brings pain and suffering, and that is unavoidable. And the second wave is how we relate to the experience. So that is known as the suffering of suffering. So instead of trying to control our experience with all of our energy, investing all our time and thoughts to try to interfere with what is, we instead use our energy and vitality on the wave of how we relate to the experience. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And it depends on our constructs, the likes and dislikes we have, the attachments, the aversions, the cravings. And the unrecognition of our true nature. If you feel you would like to go deeper, the knees can go higher. If you want to decrease the sensations, the knees can go lower. You could choose to send the legs out also. So be intimate with the direct experience instead of trying to interfere and direct it towards what you perceive as the best experience. You can slowly begin to come out of the posture, very mindfully sending the legs towards one another, either pausing there to come out. You can bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. And then you can thread one arm under the other, rolling over to the side, bending your knees. And then in your own way, pushing yourself up towards a seated position. So there will be a couple of options. One is deer pose. In which the knees can be bent, one at the front, one at the back. And this posture sometimes is called 90-90, in which the legs have a 90-degree angle at the front and back. So it's as if you could form almost a square with your front leg and half a square with the back leg. And then you could shift from here the feet towards the back leg or adjust to whatever position feels best for you. And the other variation, it's called fire log, and it's a bit more stimulating for the legs, which means that you might feel more sensation. If you do that posture, you could bring your sitting bones to a bolster, and then having your foot stuck over the opposite knee. And you might notice that this happens. So I'll come off the bolster. If the knee that is on top feels too high up, you can choose to have a block, blanket or cushion in between the foot and the knee. Or you can let that be as well. So here we will fold forward, and the hands again can go anywhere they need or at the beginning you might stay in a more upright position. A very potent practice that we could do is to watch our minds, to watch its content, to familiarize with all of the things that it rejects, all of the things that it finds pleasing. And how the same things that one day bring us a sense of pleasure or contentment can become a source of dissatisfaction or suffering. Throughout our life, we might try to rearrange or change our jobs, our houses, the way we look, even our partners. But there will come to a point where we will inevitably realize that even if I change everything on my external environment, there might still be a feeling of emptiness. I still end up feeling vacuous. That's why it is so important to look within and to be curious about the root of our thoughts and the narratives that we constantly find ourselves in. Slowly begin to come out of the posture. Anything you need to do, please do it. And slowly shift onto the other side. can let yoga postures teach us how to be with discomfort, how to not fall victim of the stories in our minds and the attachment to only do those things that are pleasing. Throughout our lives, we will face different types of enforcement. When we are younger, some of us are enforced to go to school, sometimes not to go to school, to live in a certain way, to not do certain things, to do certain things. But there's one thing that we cannot be enforced to do, and that is to inquire into the nature of our minds. That has to be born from within. And it seems to happen amidst conflict, confusion, suffering. And sometimes when we truly need to find solace in something else, as our lives might feel overwhelming. And it is also when we realize that no amount of distraction can take us away from the discomfort of being us. And this is where we give up trying to please all of our senses and find satisfaction elsewhere, where self-gratification doesn't become the daily goal. Slowly beginning to come out of the posture. Now you can choose between having the legs wide apart or having the soles of the feet together to do a forward fold. So choosing your variation, remember that you can find support of the bolster by placing your head on it. Or creating like a fortress for your body. Swadhistana being the seat of enjoyment, pleasure, gratification, creativity, even a sense of enthusiasm. It can also become the seat of addictive behaviors, codependency, and if there is not energy in this center, there might be a lack of enthusiasm. And by looking into the nature of our minds, we can begin to see that the more that we move towards pleasurable experience that keeps us distracted or stimulated, the further we move from finding the treasure within that allows us to be content in spite of having or not having, being or not being, doing or not doing. This is what the Buddha and many of the ancient wisdoms have left for us to navigate. We can ride the waves of change, of impermanence, to the best of our ability, with no resistance, not trying to have a bigger wave or a smaller wave or more surfable wave. Just be with each one of them as they come. Just 5 more cycles of breath here. And slowly begin to come out. You can pause to observe the sensations, or you can move. You're the captain of your ship. Finally, we'll take one last forward fold, which will be caterpillar. Here you can have a blanket or a bolster underneath the knees. You can place it on the top of the legs. You can send the legs a tiny bit wider if you want to place your head in the bolster. I'll choose to place something underneath my knees so that they don't lock or overextend too much. In any posture, in every experience, you can always ask yourself, how am I relating to this? How am I relating to this posture? Am I adding a mental construct to it? Am I adding my own preferences? Hence, am I experiencing it in its fullness? The answers will reflect whether you are the captain or you become the ship. You might realize with the changing of tides how blessed we were, how blessed we are. That even when we have everything, where our lives are good, there will still be something that our mind is lacking, or something that might make us feel dissatisfaction. But if we become the boat or the ship that is impermanent and is affected by the winds, by the tides, we might begin to lose the opportunity to be the captain. Slowly begin to come out of your posture. Easy movement. Very gradually start to move towards that laying down position. Lift your feet and bring your hands to the kneecaps. And begin to draw a few circles with the thighs moving towards the chest. With the help of your hands, just squeeze, and then you move both legs over to one side, and then away from your chest, and then over to the other side and in. And create a couple of circles here. Paying some extra attention to the sacral area. Then shifting direction, so you can connect to that which feels good, and we can do it. Yet we tame and train our minds so that if we are unable to do the things that make us feel good, At least we are skilled to navigate our inner currents more willingly without losing our contentment. Let's take a brief happy baby, either rubbing the shins or insides or outsides of the feet, pressing the sacrum down, the head down. And slowly begin to release. Legs extending all the way out to invite Shavasana. to guide the thumbs towards the tips of the neighboring fingers. Moving the toes, circling the wrists if that feels good, and stretching the arms all the way up, rolling over to your left hand side. Pushing yourself up towards the seat. Let's seal this practice with the hands of the heart. Bring the thumbs in between the eyebrows. May the currents and tides help us become better sailors, better captains. The thumbs to the lips. May we stay authentic to who we are. And bring the thumbs to the heart. May our heart be the compass that guides us to our own innermost depth. Namaste.